Sarah was 41 years old when she realized she'd been lying to herself for 12 years. She earned $58,000 a year teaching second grade in Dallas. Good salary, good benefits, stable job. But every month, by the 18th, her checking account was under $200, and she had $18,000 sitting on 3 credit cards, growing. She'd been paying the minimums for years, telling herself, "I'll pay it off when things calm down." Things never calmed down. Then, one Thursday night, while her husband watched TV and her kids did homework, Sarah opened a notes app on her phone and typed 4 words: "Where does it go?" She didn't tell her husband, didn't tell her sister, didn't post about it. She just started. 22 months later, Sarah had 0 debt and $6,400 saved. Her husband had no idea, her friends didn't know, her family thought she was still tight on money. Until the day her sister asked to borrow $1,200, and Sarah said no. Before we continue, if this story resonates, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps YouTube show this to people who need it. Now, stay with the full story. Sarah Mitchell taught second grade at Lakewood Elementary in Dallas, Texas. She was 41 years old, married to James for 14 years, a good man, assistant manager at a Home Depot in Mesquite. 2 kids, Ethan, 11, and Lily, 8. They lived in a 3-bedroom rental in Pleasant Grove, a working-class neighborhood where most families looked just like theirs. Sarah earned $58,000 a year. James brought home about $48,000. Combined household income, $106,000. On paper, they should have been comfortable. Not rich, but stable. No crazy expenses, no boat, no vacation home, just a normal American family in a normal house trying to live a normal life. But Sarah had a secret she didn't even admit to herself until that Thursday night. She was broke. Not "we're tight this month" broke, not "we need to be careful" broke. Actually broke, as in $18,000 in credit card debt across 3 cards, checking account balance averaging $340 by mid-month, and a knot in her stomach every time she swiped her debit card at Target. Her morning started at 5:45 a.m. Coffee, shower, wake the kids, pack lunches, always packed, never bought, because $8 per kid per day was $80 a week they didn't have. Out the door by 7:10 to beat the traffic on I-30. She taught 22 7-year-olds how to read, add, subtract, and be kind to each other. She loved her job. It was exhausting and underpaid, but it mattered. Lunch break was 25 minutes. She ate a sandwich she'd made at home while grading spelling tests. Her coworkers went to Chick-fil-A or Chipotle twice a week. Sarah always said, "I'm good, I brought lunch." They thought she was just healthy. She was just broke. After school, she picked up the kids, drove home, started dinner. James got home around 6:30 p.m. They'd eat together, help with homework, get the kids to bed by 8:30. Then Sarah would sit on the couch with her phone, pretending to scroll Instagram, but really checking her bank account. Again, for the 3rd time that day. $287. Rent was due in 4 days. The electric bill auto-drafted tomorrow. Ethan needed new shoes because his toes were hitting the front. Lily's school was doing a fundraiser, and all the other parents were buying $40 cookie dough kits. Sarah felt her chest tighten. She looked over at James, watching a Mavericks game, relaxed, unaware. He didn't know they had $18,000 in credit card debt. Not the full amount, anyway. He knew about one card, the one they used for emergencies, about $4,200. He thought that was all they owed. He didn't know about the other 2 cards, the ones Sarah opened years ago to cover things when money ran short. The Target card with $7,100, the Capital One with $6,700. She'd been paying the minimums for so long she couldn't remember when it started. $85 here, $120 there, just enough to keep the accounts open, never enough to actually shrink the balance. And every month, the interest ate whatever progress she thought she was making. Sarah earned $58,000 a year. Her husband earned $48,000. Together, they made more than the median household income in Texas. And somehow, they were drowning. But nobody knew. Not her sister, who thought Sarah was good with money. Not her coworkers, who saw her as stable and responsible.
Not even James, who trusted that Sarah handled the bills and assumed everything was fine. And that Thursday night, sitting on the couch, staring at $287 in her checking account, Sarah finally asked the question she'd been avoiding for 12 years. Where does $96,000 go?
Sarah didn't sleep that night. She lay in bed next to James, listening to him breathe, staring at the ceiling, doing math in her head. $106,000 a year. After taxes, about $6,400 a month hitting their accounts. Rent, $1,650. Car payments, $720. 2 financed vehicles. Insurance, $280. Utilities, $220. Groceries, maybe $800. That left about $3,000 a month for everything else. So where did $3,000 a month go? The next morning, Friday, Sarah did something she'd never done before. She opened the Notes app on her phone and started writing down every single purchase. Not at the end of the day, as it happened. 7:15 a.m., Starbucks drive-thru, venti latte, $5.85. She told herself it was just coffee, but she did it 4 times a week. That was $23 a week, $100 a month, $1,200 a year on coffee. 12:30 p.m., Target run after school. She needed laundry detergent. Walked out with detergent, $14, a cute throw pillow, $22, a candle that was on sale, $12, snacks for the kids, $18, and a shirt for herself that was 30% off, $26. Total, $92. She'd gone in for detergent. That night, Sarah looked at James. He'd stopped at Sonic on the way home. Large drink, tater tots, chicken sandwich, $11. Didn't feel like cooking, he said. She didn't judge him. She'd done the same thing twice that week. Chick-fil-A Monday, Taco Bell Wednesday, $24 combined. They weren't eating out at nice restaurants. They were bleeding money at drive-thrus. Saturday, Sarah kept tracking. $47 at the grocery store, again, they'd already gone Tuesday. $8.50 for Lily's Happy Meal at McDonald's. $15 on a mobile game Ethan wanted. $32 for gas. $19 at CVS for stuff they needed. Sunday morning, Sarah opened her phone and looked at 3 days of spending. $287. In 3 days, they'd spent $287 on things that didn't matter. None of it was big, none of it felt reckless, but it was constant. And she realized this had been happening for years. She opened her credit card statements, scrolled back, January, December, November. The pattern was suffocating. $12.99 Netflix, $14.99 Hulu, $9.99 Disney Plus, $11.99 Spotify Family, $19.99 LA Fitness. She hadn't gone in 5 months. $6.99 iCloud Storage, $15.99 Amazon Prime. Subscriptions she barely used, $92 a month, $1,104 a year. Then the bigger bleeds, $340 a month in car payments, 2 cars financed at high interest because their credit scores were mediocre from carrying balances on credit cards. $287 a month in minimum payments on those same credit cards. $150+ a month on drive-through food and convenience store snacks. And the worst part? The credit card interest. Sarah opened the Capital One statement. Balance, $6,700. Minimum payment, $120. Interest charge that month, $114. She'd paid $120. Only $6 went to the actual debt. She'd been paying $120 a month for 3 years, and the balance had barely moved. That's when Sarah felt it. Not anger, not panic, shame. She was a teacher. She was smart. She had a master's degree. She taught kids how to solve problems every single day. And she couldn't figure out why her own family, making 6 figures, was broke. Sunday night, James asked, "You okay? You've been quiet." Sarah almost told him, almost said,
We're $18,000 in debt, and I don't know how it happened." But she didn't, because she knew what would happen. He'd panic, he'd blame her for the 2 secret cards, they'd fight, he'd want to make a plan that would fall apart in 2 weeks like every other plan they'd tried. So instead, Sarah said, "Yeah, just tired." And she made a decision. She wasn't going to announce this, wasn't going to make it a family meeting, wasn't going to post about getting our finances together on Facebook. She was going to fix it. Alone, in silence, without telling anyone.
Sarah didn't learn what to do from a finance book or a YouTube video. She learned it from watching her mother fail. Her mom, Linda, had worked retail for 30 years, died at 64 with $890 in her checking account and a closet full of things she'd bought on sale that she'd never used. At the funeral, someone said, "She worked so hard. It's not fair she had nothing." But Sarah remembered something her grandmother once said about Linda. "Your mama spent money to feel better and then felt worse because she spent it." That Sunday night, Sarah decided she wouldn't die like her mother. So she made 3 rules: simple, brutal, non-negotiable. Rule number 1, track every single dollar, no exceptions. Monday morning, Sarah created a new note on her phone titled April. Every purchase, every swipe, every auto pay, everything. $5.85, Starbucks. $2.30, vending machine at school. $14.67, Kroger, forgot milk. $47, electric bill, auto pay. $120, Capital One minimum payment. By the end of week 1, she had 43 entries, and she saw it clearly. They were bleeding money on things that didn't matter. The $5 coffees, the $12 lunches she bought when she forgot her packed lunch at home, the $8 snacks at the gas station, the $35 quick trips to Target that happened 3 times a week. None of it was big, but it was constant. Rule number 2, pay yourself first, before anything. On May 1st, Sarah's paycheck hit $2,240 after taxes, paid twice a month. Normally, she'd pay bills first, buy groceries, handle life, and hope there was something left. There never was. This time, Sarah did something that felt insane. The moment her paycheck deposited, she opened her banking app and transferred $300 to a savings account she just opened at a different bank. Not at the end of the month, not if there's extra. First. Then she paid the rent, the electric bill, the minimum payments on the cards, for now. That left $1,340 for groceries, gas, and everything else until the next paycheck in 2 weeks. It felt like nothing. She panicked for a second, but then she realized this is what we actually have. This is reality. Rule number 3, cash for the things that bleed. Sarah withdrew $400 in cash, put it in an envelope, wrote groceries and gas on it. That was the budget for 2 weeks. When it was gone, it was gone. No debit card at Kroger, no quick stops at Walmart, no Target runs, cash only. The first week was brutal. Sarah spent $110 on groceries Sunday, meal prepped for the first time in years, chicken, rice, vegetables. Boring, efficient. She made her coffee at home, bought a $12 bag of beans that made 30 cups instead of paying $5.85 per cup at Starbucks. Her coworkers noticed, "You're not getting coffee with us anymore?" "Trying to save money," Sarah said, keeping it light. They nodded, didn't push, forgot about it by lunch. James noticed too. "We eaten a lot of chicken lately." "It was on sale," Sarah lied. He shrugged, didn't question it. The hardest part wasn't the budget, it was the silence, because Sarah was doing all of this alone. James had no idea she'd opened a separate savings account, no idea she was tracking every dollar, no idea she'd cut their spending by 40% in 2 weeks. She wanted to tell him, wanted to say, "Look, we're actually doing it," but she didn't, because she knew how this worked. The moment she announced it, it became performative. It became something she had to defend, something that could fail publicly.
and Sarah couldn't afford to fail again. By the end of May, Sarah had $680 in the new savings account, 2 paychecks, $300 each, plus $80 she didn't spend from the cash envelope. She also canceled LA Fitness, $19.99, hadn't gone in months, Hulu, $14.99, they barely used it, a subscription box she forgot she had, $22 a month. Total monthly savings, $57. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was her money, and it wasn't leaking anymore. The credit cards were still there, $18,000 still sitting like a boulder on her chest. But Sarah had learned something her mother never did. You can't fix a money problem by making more money. You fix it by stopping the bleeding first. And for the first time in 12 years, Sarah wasn't bleeding anymore.
By September, Sarah had paid off the Target card, $7,100, gone. She'd done it by throwing every extra dollar at it while paying minimums on the other two. The debt snowball method, smallest balance first. The day the balance hit zero, Sarah was sitting in her car in the Lakewood Elementary parking lot after school. She refreshed the app. $0. She sat there for 5 minutes, just staring. She didn't tell James, didn't text her sister, didn't post a celebration story on Instagram. She just closed the app, drove home, and made dinner. Because the work wasn't done. She still had $10,900 left on the other two cards. But something had shifted inside her. She wasn't afraid of her bank account anymore. That constant low-level panic, the one that sat in her chest every time she swiped her card, every time a bill came, every time the kids needed something, it was fading. Not because she suddenly had tons of money, she didn't, but because she knew exactly where every dollar was. By October, her coworkers started noticing things. "Sarah, you seem lighter, like less stressed." She'd just smile. "Sleeping better, I guess." They had no idea. At home, James noticed too, but in a different way. "Babe, we haven't been as tight lately. It's nice." He thought they were just doing better. He didn't know Sarah had eliminated $7,100 in debt, had $2,340 saved, and was tracking every purchase like a forensic accountant. She let him think it was luck. The temptation to break came in November. Her sister, Monica, called, voice shaking. "Sarah, I'm so embarrassed to ask, but can you lend me $1,200? My car broke down, and I don't have it. I'll pay you back by Christmas, I swear." Old Sarah would have said yes immediately, would have put it on a credit card, would have told herself, family helps family. New Sarah opened her budget spreadsheet. She had $1,200, she could technically lend it, but she also knew Monica had asked for money 4 times in 3 years, paid it back 0 times. Sarah took a breath. "I can't, Mon, I'm really tight right now." Silence on the other end. "Really? You can't help your own sister?" "I'm sorry, I just can't right now." Monica hung up, didn't talk to her for 2 weeks. It hurt. Sarah cried that night in the bathroom with the door closed, but she didn't break. Because she'd learned something brutal. Helping people who won't help themselves doesn't help them, it just drowns you both. By December, Sarah had $3,100 in savings and was 14 months into her silent financial transformation. The cash envelope system had become automatic. She didn't even think about it anymore. Groceries, $200 every 2 weeks. Gas, $100. That was it. When the cash ran out, she didn't spend. No Target runs, no forgot one thing trips to Walmart, no drive-through coffees. Her coworker Jen asked her once, "How do you do it? You never stress about money." Sarah almost laughed because she'd spent 12 years drowning in money stress. But she just said, "I stopped spending on stuff I don't need." Jen nodded like it was simple wisdom. It was simple, it just wasn't easy. Christmas was the real test. Every year, Sarah and James spent about $800 on gifts for the kids, parents, siblings, teachers, mostly on credit cards. This year, Sarah set a budget, $400, cash.
She shopped sales, bought thoughtful, smaller gifts, made some things herself. On Christmas morning, Ethan and Lily were just as happy as any other year. James said, "This was a good Christmas, felt less stressful." Sarah smiled. He had no idea she'd just saved them from adding another $400 to a credit card that used to control their lives. By January, 18 months into her silent journey, Sarah had paid off the second card. 2 down, 1 to go. Total debt remaining, $4,200. Total saved, $4,100. She was 5 months away from being completely debt-free for the first time since she was 29 years old. And still, nobody knew. Not her husband, not her kids, not her sister, not her friends. She'd done this entirely alone, in silence, without applause, without accountability partners, without posting progress photos. And honestly, that's why it worked. Because this wasn't for show, it wasn't for likes, it wasn't to prove anything to anyone. It was for her. And for the first time in her adult life, Sarah slept without money fear. 22 months after that Thursday night when Sarah typed "Where does it go?" into her Notes app, she made the final payment. Capital One balance, $4,200. She clicked Pay Full Balance. $0. Sarah was sitting in her classroom during lunch break. The kids were at recess. She was alone. She stared at the screen. $18,000. Gone. Not because she got a raise, not because she won money, not because someone bailed her out, because she'd stopped lying to herself about where the money went. She closed her phone, ate her packed lunch, went back to teaching phonics, and didn't tell anyone. 3 weeks later, her sister Monica called again. "Hey, Sarah, listen, I know I asked before, but I really need help. I'm behind on rent, $1,200. I'll pay you back this time, I promise." Sarah looked at her savings account. $6,400. She could afford it, easily, but she didn't say yes. "Monica, I can't keep doing this." "Doing what? Helping your sister?" "Giving you money you won't pay back. You've asked me 4 times. You've paid me back 0 times. Silence. "Wait, you have money now?" "I've always had a paycheck, Mon. The difference is I've finally stopped spending it on things that don't matter." "So you're just what, hoarding it?" "No, I paid off $18,000 in debt. I have 6 months of expenses saved, and I did it without anyone knowing because I didn't want it to be a performance. I wanted it to be real." Monica's voice went cold. "You've had money this whole time and you've been acting broke?" "I wasn't acting, I was broke. I fixed it, in silence, and I'm not going back." Monica hung up. An hour later, Sarah's phone lit up with a text from her mom. "Monica said you have thousands saved and won't help her. Is that true?" Sarah didn't respond, because she'd learned something her mother never did. The people who judge you for having boundaries are the same people who benefit from you not having them. That night, James asked, "What's going on with your sister?" Sarah took a breath, and for the first time in 22 months, she told him the truth. "I paid off all our credit cards. We have $6,400 saved, and I did it without telling you because I needed to do it alone." James stared at her. "Wait, the cards are gone? All of them?" "All of them." "How?" "I tracked every dollar. I stopped spending on stupid stuff. I paid myself first, and I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want it to be a performance. I wanted it to be real." James sat down, looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. "You've been doing this for almost 2 years?" "Yeah." "Alone?" "Yeah." He didn't say anything for a long moment. Then, "I'm proud of you." Sarah didn't become rich, didn't retire early, didn't quit her job. She still taught second grade, still packed lunches, still lived in the same rental house in Pleasant Grove. But everything was different because she wasn't running anymore. Not from the mailbox, not from her bank account, not from the truth. And the craziest part? Nobody noticed. Her life looked exactly the same from the outside. Same car, same house, same job. But inside, Sarah had become someone new. Not louder, not flashier, not more successful by anyone else's definition, just free. Free from the lies she used to tell herself, free from the paycheck-to-paycheck panic, free from wondering if she'd make it to Friday. And she'd done it without an audience, without accountability posts, without finance gurus, without telling a single person until it was already done. The people who talk about change are rarely the ones changing. Real transformation doesn't need applause. It needs discipline, silence, and the courage to fix your life when no one's watching. Sarah didn't announce her transformation. She just lived it, and that's exactly why it worked.